It feels like it's been a really long time since I hung out with you guys. I've been taking it super easy the last week or so. I did herniate a disc in my neck. I'm still not feeling super great, but I do have to get out and feed the horses regardless, so today I'm going to take you with me. Frisco Bill! Hey, old boy! Frisco Bill! Hey, Bram. Hey, girl. You in? Girl. Good girl. Okay, buddy? You alright, Frisco Bill? Pony? Hey, buddy, you okay? It has been looking a lot more like winter these days. We've been having some crazy snowstorms and windstorms. It's actually been blowing all of the shavings out of the horses' stalls, so I've stopped putting shavings in, and the horses have actually not been spending too much time in the barn. We have been getting a lot of snow, but as long as it's not too windy, the horses are perfectly happy outside. I really don't have too many chores to do this morning besides getting the horses their special mashes. Everybody's been getting their ration balancer, some vitamin E, and then a scoop of warm soaked beet pulp. The last 3 weeks or so, I've really struggled to take care of the horses by myself. My husband did help me for about a week. After feeding the horses a few times by myself, I did very quickly figure out that I was not going to be able to do it for a few more weeks. With the temperatures being a little bit cold at night, I was having to feed the horses a lot of extra hay. So in order to help myself out and the horses as well, I did order a few round bales to be delivered. They are a little bit on the expensive side, but it was really nice to have someone come out and plop some round bales right in the dry lots for me. That has allowed me to do a lot less around the horses. I still am feeding Frisco, Prim, and Nigel hay every day. Pearl is also getting all-you-can-eat alfalfa. It looks like I didn't quite calculate all of the beet pulp right this morning, so I'm just skimming a little bit off the top of all of the other horses to give to Nigel. Over the last couple of days, we've gotten about a foot of snow, which is a lot of snow at once for us. I have been able to continue driving the gator around outside, but this morning I think I'm going to have to take my truck. When I woke up this morning, it was bright and sunshiny out, but we do have a little bit of a storm coming in. Before it gets too nasty, I'm going to bring in Ziggy, Scarlet, and Pearl. Even with this really nasty weather, Pearl is continuing to gain weight. I actually had to cut back her hard feed. At this point, I think she is probably a normal weight for a horse her age, which is pretty exciting given the fact that I just got her a little bit over 2 months ago. The addition of her PPID medication has definitely helped her. Scarlett and Ziggy have been having a lot of fun out in the smaller arena during the day and some evenings depending on the weather. I've tried to put them in as much as I think is necessary, but a lot of times they still will just run around because they do not want to be inside. And even with this nasty weather, the boys that do have access to their sheds do not really go in them very much at all.
Hey boys, you hungry? Okay, hold on boys. Oof. Hey, come on boys. Here. Here, come on boys, good boys. Hey Pete. Here, little Gus. I'm coming. Here you go, buddy. There you go.
The wind is picking up a little bit. I have to check the weather, but I think it's supposed to be a very quick storm this morning. Even with snow and ice on top of them, these horses still have quite a bit of insulation underneath.
Hey Pete.
I have been getting a lot of questions about blankets, especially in this nasty weather. Although I need to be pretty bundled up to be out in this weather, as long as these horses have free choice hay, they can stay very warm without any kind of blanket on at all. All of these horses do have full winter coats, so even though it's around 20 degrees this morning, it is a perfectly fine temperature for them to be outside in. I have recently been having a little bit of trouble with my water tanks freezing over, so I've just been filling them up about halfway. That way the heater can work on most of the water. These round bales have been out in the dry lots for about a week, and even though they're getting snowed on, it is so cold that there really is no risk of them molding. The hay was really good. It's a grass alfalfa mix, so it's about 70% grass and then 30% alfalfa. I'm hoping we won't get too much more snow because I would like to continue having some round bales delivered until my neck is better. Since these boys do have free choice access to the hay, they have been getting a little bit on the round side.
Hey Pete, you okay buddy? Peter? Good boy Pete. Oh, good boy Pete. You okay buddy? You okay Pete? Hey, good boy. Oh Pete.
Someone did ask how you can tell when these horses are actually cold, and they will shiver. With it being below freezing though, the snow just sits on top of their backs. If it were to melt and get deep down into their coats, they would be a lot colder than they are now. A few days ago, I did notice that Scarlett is actually starting to shed her winter coat, which is a little bit too early. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, their coat starts shedding when the light changes. So our days are getting a little bit longer, and Scarlett, I guess, thinks that spring is coming relatively quickly.
Boys. Oh, Gussie. Sorry, buddy.
This year, I think I did a pretty good job of plumping these horses up just right. We are going into a little bit of a sub-zero spell over the next week.
Good boy. I don't have any treats, buddy.
We're going to have about 3 days in a row that it's going to be below zero the whole time. Typically we have 2 kind of really cold snaps during the winter, so hopefully that will be the last one for the year. It's hard to tell how many days left these horses have on their kind of smushed round bale.
I think you got it all, Stewie.
One of these horses did chew a hole in it, so they've been able to eat it unrestricted. I did order some new ones because I think that I might be able to pull one of the big alfalfa bales out here if I need to. With the amount of snow that we got, I am not sure if the hay delivery guy will be able to get back into the dry lots. Even though I'm a little bit chilly this morning, all of the horses seem to be doing just fine. Usually my truck can go through about a foot of snow with four-wheel drive on, so I didn't think that I was going to get stuck in this, but I may have found a stray gopher hole with one of my wheels. My husband's a little bit of a worrywart, so I would really hate to have to call him this morning to come pull me out. There is a 0% chance that I will be shoveling myself out because my arm is not fully functioning right now. After a closer inspection, it doesn't look like I should be stuck, but this snow is very slippery and I think I'm just sinking down into it. After trying for about 20 minutes to get unstuck, I decided that I might as well continue on with my chores. I reluctantly called my husband to have him come pull me out. Thankfully, it's a short walk over to feed these three boys their special mash.
Gus. Hey girl, you alright? Hold on, mama. Get you inside, girl. Hold on, Ziggy. Come in, boys.
We've lived in this part of Montana for a little bit over 10 years now, and that is typically the amount of time it takes to really wear you down. For a few months out of the year, it is really hard just to do normal things. Taking care of any kind of livestock is significantly harder than it would be if there was no snow. We recently did look at a really nice house and some property
hold on,
that
girl.
we were very interested in.
Hey,
There were
you're
a few
okay.
things about the house that were not quite right, and the area was not really ideal for us. It was about 2 hours away from where
Girl.
we live now. It would have been a really cool property to build up and put some more horse things on it, but with the current state of the world, I think we're going to wait until the weather is a little bit nicer. A lot of the properties that we're looking at are on the very tippy top of our budget. We have been looking for the perfect property for a very long time. The longer we
Okay.
wait for the perfect place to come along, the bigger our budget is going to grow. So I'm not too upset that that place did not work out for us.
You okay, old boy?
Even with all this snowy weather, Frisco Bill still insists on being outside with Nigel most of the time.
Honey, come to me. Hey, girl. Girl.
Tiny hasn't been doing very much. She looks a little bit on the plump side, but that's understandable given the amount of activity she's getting this time of year.
Come and Zig.
With all the time that Ziggy and Scarlet have been spending together, I feel like Ziggy has gone a little bit on the feral side. Even though the weather is a little bit
Zig,
nasty
let's go.
out, these two still prefer to be out in the smaller arena. It is nice to bring these two in and out every day. It gives them just a little bit of a reminder that they are not wild. Ziggy also gets a chance to eat his meals a little bit more leisurely, but I can definitely tell that these two are becoming more attached the longer they're out together.
Okay.
Since it's been below freezing for quite a while now, it has been
come
a
on,
real
Zig.
chore to get all of the old shavings peeled out of their stalls. Most of the time when I bring these two in now, they'll come in, have a meal during the storm, and then when the weather is nice again, I'll just turn them back out. Even when it is a little bit nasty out, this girl still prefers to be
girl?
out of the barn. I think the forecast for today is calling for another inch or two
girl.
of snow, and it looks like the wind has definitely died down since earlier. I don't think Scarlet has seen that she has food in her little pan yet, but I think she'll eventually figure it out. Last time Pearl was in her stall, she made a complete mess of it, so I did have to strip it, and it is fresh and ready to go. You'd think that this old girl would enjoy her time in her stall, but she still does really prefer to be outside as well.
Hey, girl. Wanna come in? You alright?
Here recently, she has started running away from me when I go to put her blanket on. She still gets very warm underneath. Since she is now a pretty normal weight and she does have a full winter coat, I am fine to leave her outside with no blanket on.
Okay, girl. You're alright.
Even though she has been in here a bunch of times, she still gets really snorty when I very first bring her in. The last time she was in here, she kicked over and broke her heated bucket, so I need to put some more water in here for her. I'll go grab her special mash and she can start munching on that.
Come on, girl.
I know a lot of you guys think that this girl really wants a friend, but it seems like she does not mind it one bit if she's by herself. I think after so many years of taking care of babies, she is probably more than happy to have a little break and some time to herself.
I'll get you food. Nigel! Nigel? Hey, little buddy. Go. All right, bud.
Pretty much all of the oldest horses I have really enjoy being outside the most. Frisco's stall does turn into a little bit of a wind tunnel when it gets really windy out, so he just prefers being outside anyway. He has been getting about 40 pounds of hay every feeding, and I let him pick through it and then give the leftovers to Prim. Nigel has also been getting extra hay, and he just kind of noses around in it, and I think he's able to get more than enough hay.
Nigel.
With the cooler temperatures, it was really difficult for me to keep their mashes from freezing, so I'm really excited that all of them are able to eat regular hay. It's starting to look like that little storm is actually almost done blowing through, so I might end up turning these horses back out again. One thing I was trying to catch on video for you guys is that Pearl has started weaving inside of her stall, and that is just going back and forth with their head and neck kind of in place. If these horses are getting too fresh and excited inside their stalls, then they really don't do them any good because all of the snow on them is going to melt and then they are going to get colder.
Zig!
I'm going to wait for all of these horses to finish eating their mash, and then I'll check the weather again and kind of see how it is outside, and then I might go ahead and turn them back out. The only one I have left to give mash to is Frisco Bill. You can kind of see from this view how high the drifts can actually get. This drift is probably around 2 feet tall, so it's not surprising that I got my truck stuck this morning. I probably would have been fine if I put chains on my tires, but I just really don't like the hassle of having to do that. Since my husband was out here helping me for about a week, he decided that we need to set aside a little bit of money for a tractor in the future. We were able to pull half of one of these big alfalfa bales in for Scarlett and Ziggy, but it would have taken a lot less time if I had a tractor, and I would also be able to plow back here a little bit easier.
What's up, girl?
Pearl still gets very nervous in her stall, and sometimes she just does not want to eat her breakfast. I'm always weighing the pros and cons with these horses, and I would prefer that Pearl eats. All of these other horses seem to be perfectly fine out in this weather, even though it does look a little bit on the gloomy side. My husband was a little bit overly excited to come pull me out of the snow with his tiny baby truck. I know it's going to take a while for me to live this one down because my truck is so much bigger than his. I typically never put winter tires on my truck, I just have all season tires. I generally do not drive very much in the winter time. Where I live, it's fairly typical for the highway to actually close down, which they've done pretty frequently over the last 2 weeks or so. Generally, I do stock up and am well prepared when we have these storms. But every once in a while, I think it might be nice to have proper snow tires on the truck. With all of the boys supervising, we finally get the trucks hooked together. I'm honestly not convinced that I'm going to be able to get unstuck. I tried really hard not to dig myself into a deeper hole because I think all I'm going to need is a little bit of a tug and then I'll be able to pop right out. After a few tugs, I was eventually able to back myself up out of the snow. By the time we had made it back to the plowed portion of the driveway, there was a light sprinkling of snow starting to fall. You can't really tell in the video, but it has actually warmed up about 10 degrees, so it's very close to freezing right now.
Okay, girl. Whoa, girl. Okay.
Pearl could not wait to get out of her stall, and I decided to turn all of the rest of the horses back out as well. Even though it is snowing a little bit right now, this is perfectly fine weather for the horses to be out in.
Okay, girl. Go. Zig? Settle down, Ziggo. Hold on, Zig. Come on, Zig.
was finally done with all of my chores, it looked like the sky was beginning to clear and the sun was starting to come out.
Hey Nigel, hey Frisco Bale. Nice out now.
Some days I really do not like living in this environment, but the storms that come eventually pass and the weather really isn't all that bad. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay tuned for the next video.